Specialized S-Works Venge vise in a size 61, weighing at 19 pounds, 1 ounce, and in kilos, 8.66 kilos. That's with pedals and cage and everything. Stay tuned after video where you're free of body sound test on those NVs with DT Swiss 240 wheels. Such a beautiful bike. Oh my God. Hey, how's it going, everyone? GC Performance here, back with another video, and today I have for you guys this beautiful 2018 Specialized S-Works Venge vise. This is a size 61, and as you guys just saw, weighed in right around 19 pounds, and in kilos came in right around 8.5 kilos. Back in this day, this bike actually retailed for around $9,500, if you could believe it. It did come with different wheels. These are NV wheels, and they were sold with Revolve CLX 64s, but this is an absolute beautiful bike. This was a bike that was one of my favorite bikes that Specialized released. I rode the Venge vise myself. It was a love-hate relationship for me because I rode the rim brake version, and if anyone knows or anyone ever rode the rim brake version of this bike, they'll know that those rim brakes on there sucked. But the actual innovation of this bike, the design, the story behind it, I absolutely fell in love with this bike. So I'm a big fan of this. I felt like it was one of the fastest bikes I ever rode. And the whole proprietary stem, the whole bar system, the way they went about it and the way they made this bike, and they said they made it in the wind tunnel to make it faster, especially with incorporating the rim brakes. They put the rim brakes on these bikes on the front fork right here to reduce drag because this had the littlest drag here, and they also put the rear brake right here on the back of the side bike right here to reduce drag. Granted, they had barely any stopping power. I mean, it was very little stopping power. If you rode it in the rain, they felt like they had nothing. But just the whole idea behind the bike, it just felt fast. And the bike was always felt kind of heavy, but in my mind, it was the fastest aero bike Specialized made for a road bike, and it was one of the most comfortable road bikes they made, in my opinion, as well. So I'm gonna go through this whole bike, show you guys a clean line to this thing, go over this whole build on here. But man, it's so sick. Like, yes, if you have to change your stem out, it was a whole half-day job of rerouting cables. Yes, if you change your handlebar out, it was again another half day of rerouting cables. But if you got this bike and you bought it and you got a pre-fit for it and you're like, hey, I know what I want, this bike was an absolute rocket ship. I mean, for South Florida, this was the bike to have. It looks different than normal cookie cutter bikes today. You see all these other bikes out there today, they all kind of look the same. The drop seat stays, just a regular straight down tube. I'm sure it works, but this with the whole innovation of you know the wheel tucked in here by Specialized, you have the lower seat stays, but you have this kind of like Y flare for the rear stay as well. You have the proprietary stem, which this thing was a beefy ass stem, very heavy, but an alloy stem that kind of looked like a hammerhead shark. I loved it. The stem came at a negative 17 degrees stem. They only made one size, negative 17 degrees downwards, so they actually released these handlebars like this for this bike specifically to compensate for it. So the handlebars had a flare up of 20 degrees to compensate for that, which is really cool. I remember like the hardest thing to do, because Peter Scott did it, like the hardest thing to do when you got this bike to make it look the coolest was to slam it. You run a you run a 140 stem, negative 17, and you run the flat bar they have with this bike, and it was absolutely badass. But fun fact, this handlebar has a huge hole in the middle of it, okay? These two screws go inside the handlebar and to the other side to connect it. But really, really cool. The disc brake version of this bike, I think, is a badass bike. I think it's still a bike that competes with modern day bikes today. Like I said, if you have the early models of this thing with the rim brakes and also mechanical durace, like the Pro version they first released, it was a nightmare. You had to run all 4 mechanical cables, 2 cables through this bar, 2 cables through a stem, 2 cables through here, 2 cables through here, and it had to be, all the housing lengths had to be cut specific to stem length and to bar length. They had to be like 75 millimeters, 55 millimeters, 65 millimeters. You had to run cable lengths down here. It was crazy. I hated working on it, but the final aftermath of the bike, when they're done right, it was a thing of its time. Also, this paint job, this was when this paint job was like very popular. This is the chameleon, the blue purple. Such a sick paint job. You have the white S-Works decals on here, and then everywhere else, like on the top tube, this is all like a gloss black. The front of it's a gloss black. I mean, the bike just looked fast. I mean, it looked like a Formula One car design, you know? Such a cool bike. But yeah, the Venge vise to me holds a near and dear place. It's a bike that's on my channel banner for YouTube. It's a bike that really does hold near and dear to me. Absolutely loved it. This is also when they had the proprietary OSPW 30 bottom bracket. People, again, loved or hated it. There were easy fixes for it, but this one Specialized was doing their own thing. They had their own cranks. This is their own Specialized S-Works crank on here. It's a carbon fiber crank arm. This crank only worked with their bikes. Super lightweight crank arms. It was an efficient, a very efficient crank. Sometimes you get a little bit of bottom bracket creak, but it was an easy fix on there. But yeah, man, this was a time when Specialized was doing it. 95. Look at that paint job. 9,500 bucks for this bike complete, with 11-speed durace on there, which is crazy. But anyways, let me get into the video and talk about everything, and hopefully you guys enjoy. So, starting off with the handlebar and the cockpit. These are Specialized own proprietary Aerofly handlebars for the Venge Vice. These are a 20-degree rise, 44 centimeter from width to width, carbon fiber bar. And again, they have the 20-degree rise. We have on here brand new Specialized Supercast bar tape, and then the Shimano Durace 11-speed gears in the rear, 2 in the front. This is the Di2, so there's a wire going there. We have on here the proprietary Garmin mount that comes out front, and we have our 2 bolts here. What the hell is that? Looks like someone got a little bit too excited when they saw this bike right here. Ugh. It's like a fluid, like a bodily fluid. I'll clean that out later. Yes, they have their own mount system here, and you're going to notice there's some light systems here. There's light systems here on the back. This is actually by a really nice guy who doesn't compete crazy. He just rides like 250 miles a week, and he just wants a bike that works efficiently. He's got the money for nice stuff, but he absolutely loves this bike, he says himself. Going down, we have the Specialized logo right here in the front with the black in the front as well. And then for the wheels, we have here the Envy SES AR disc. I believe these are the 3/4s that are built up with a DT Swiss 240 hub. You have bladed spokes on here. For the tires, they are the Continental Gator Skins 700 by 28C. And so the weight I gave you before, that was 19 pounds. That's pretty much the stock bikes that are coming out today. This is with these 700 by 28C Gator Skin tires. These are with these basic Shimano pedals. These are with these plastic cages. We had on there the rear light as well, the front light mount, and then also the mount, the Garmin mount. I mean, that's pretty light given those heavy tires and those heavy pedals on there. You could definitely get this bike in 18 pounds for a size 61 for a full aero bike, which is pretty cool. I know you guys are going to be like, that's freaking heavy. That's so stupid. Anyways, Shimano 160mm Durace disc brakes. We have on here the Durace disc brake flat mount disc brake caliper. And then this is a cool thing too. If you guys ever see these are Specialized printed DT Swiss skewers. These are by Specialized, made by Specialized. You can only get them through Specialized, but they are an option that if you didn't want to have a 6mm bolt Allen key and you didn't want to have to bring an Allen key toolkit with you, you have this option to go ahead and remove this and have the branding there. Some people don't like it. They feel like that these kind of defeat the purpose of an aero bike. But some people like efficiency over the added aerodynamics. So, yeah. Going down, oh, that's a beautiful shot right there, that white S-Works logo. Going down to the frame, we can see here the Specialized S-Works stem in 110 degree length. This is a negative 17 degree stem again, like I said. We have here the proprietary spaces, the proprietary top cap. We have the beautiful lines for the top tube on here. Absolutely gorgeous. We have our 2 plastic bottle cages. We have our S-Works carbon fiber crank right here with our carbon fiber spider that says ceramic speed on there because these bikes used to come with ceramic speed bearings. And these are the Praxis Work chain rings by Specialized. It's a 52-36 chain ring. We have our 11-speed Durace front derailleur right here. And then for the chain cassette, again, he just kind of put on here this is a Shimano Ultegra chain with a, believe it or not, a Shimano 105 cassette just for the cheap. 11/28 cassette. And then we have the Durace 11-speed Di2 rear derailleur. That's the rear mech right there. Tried and true, works really, really well. And then for the tires in the rear, again, they're the Continental Gator Skin Black Editions. And then you have the DT Swiss 240 hubs built up on the Envy SES AR disc wheels. Absolutely beautiful. Now, again, we can see the nice tire tuck for the rear wheel. We can see the nice tire tuck for the front wheel. We can see the nice Y foil, or the nice Y fin tail right here for the rear stays, which looks beautiful. We have our integrated C-clamp that goes right here for the Specialized Venge Vice. And believe it or not, this is a proprietary S-Works Venge Vice seat post. But if you guys are saying this thing looks very familiar, it is because it goes on the first generation Specialized Allay Sprint. This was a very common seat post. That's why I really like this bike as well. I think it's a beautiful looking bike. I like that they took some parts of this bike and put it onto the Allay Sprint because it was such a successful bike as well. So very nice. You have the S-Works logo right here. This is a 20mm setback seat post. They also make a 0mm setback seat post as well. That's why I was riding my bike. I had my bike set up with a 0 offset and a 120 stem with flat bars. For the saddle, again, he just prefers comfort. This is a Roman Evo Saddle Expert chromoly rails, nice wide cutout, 155 with saddle, and a nice opening for the blood flow as well. But that is going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think of this beautiful bike. I miss the Venge a lot. It's like I'm having withdrawals on here, but this is a beautiful bike. The Venge Vice was always 11R carbon. As you guys can see right there, it says Fact Carbon 11R. I don't know if I will focus on there. All the Venge Vices, from the Pro model to the Expert to the S-Works, they're all the exact same carbon. They're always 11R carbon. So if anyone bought like an Expert model and built it up, you were getting the same value as S-Works, just without paint job. So that's what I liked about these bikes too. I thought they were extreme value for what they were. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Here comes the free body sound test on these DT Swiss 240 hubs, MVAR disc wheels. Let's give it one time. Great.